Okay, guys, it's Atlove Clark again here. Germany, Holy Roman Empire, magazine booklet review. The reason why I want to read this and review this is for people that actually can't read, or I seem to find that a lot of people just aren't good at reading comprehension or reading for themselves and digesting. There's more than one person I know that has these problems, and I find that there's no audio for people to, like an audio book for this kind of stuff. There's no outlet as far as I know. They don't offer audio for people that are illiterate, that can't read, and it's unfair people don't learn to read at school. It's also unfair that they have to go through their whole life and not be able to have some information. So I want to share with people that have problems reading, or people that just can't read, or people that just can read and just that's not how they interpret information very well. So I'm going to read it for them like an audio book, and hopefully review it a little bit and give a little bit of my own opinions, and hopefully we'll all learn from this, and maybe you guys can show me something, teach me something about it. Okay, so here we go. We already done the first page. Here's the second page. Okay. How could the appalling evil and message of hate inspired by Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime during World War II ever resurface in this sophisticated age? World history and Bible prophecy should strike us like a bolt of lightning with the proper answer to that question. But man has not learned history's lesson, and Bible prophecy is laughed to scorn. Yet, for those with an open mind, history and prophecy reveal where this modern day Germany is leading. The spirit and message of Hitler did not die when the war ended. It lives on, and soon its ugly head will resurface to thrust this world into one final, all-out battle before Christ returns. Matthew 24:21 through 22. In 1941, before the World War ended, German author Emil Ludwig wrote a book entitled The Germans, Double History of a Nation. Ludwig was not the least bit surprised to find Germany leading nations into another worldwide conflagration. On page 484 he wrote, "A nation has for 1,000 years borne whatever authority was imposed upon it, that never fought of its own will for its freedom, that fought of its own will for its freedom, that quickly sought its way back under the yoke when it attained freedom against its will. The world ought to grasp that this German nation as a whole shows no inclination to change. The first error to which we succumbed when we believed after the First World War that a new Germany was possible. That first error should protect us against a second." We should have learned a lesson from the First World War. The war was supposed to end all wars, but we didn't. People shunned Winston Churchill in the years preceding World War II, even calling him a warmonger. Yet, true to Churchill's prediction, the Nazi war machine set out to rule the world and destroy anything that happened to be in its path. If not for Churchill's unyielding leadership, the Germans would have realized their goal. Did the Germans and the rest of mankind finally learn the lesson? Miracle of the 1950s. Herbert Armstrong described Germany's devastating destruction in 1944 and 1945 as one of the worst beatings ever administered to any nation. By the end of World War II, he wrote, all cities of over 50,000 population in Germany were left in a heap of ruins, and also a great many smaller towns. Every fourth house in all of Germany was smashed. Most of the cities were 80% destroyed. Cologne and Essen were 90% destroyed. Of 29 bridges spanning in Rhine, 29 bridges spanning the Rhine, all were destroyed. The view of wreckage over all this major nation was absolutely indescribable. People by hundreds of thousands, rendered homeless, were dragging their weary feet along clogged and crowded highways, impeding traffic. There goes traffic. Other thousands stomping across fields and sleeping in ditches. The Germans were defeated. War this time struck their own fatherland. Plain Truth, August 1959. Western leaders, both sides of the Atlantic, assured our people that a demoralized Germany would never rise up to strike again. In a signed document about American-British policy on Germany in February 1945, Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill said, "It is our inflexible purpose to destroy German militarism and Nazism, and to ensure that Germany will never again be able to disturb the peace of the world. We are determined to disarm and disband all German armed forces, break up for all time the German General Staff that has repeatedly contrived the resurgence of the German militarism, remove or destroy all German military equipment, eliminate or control all German industry that could be useful for military production. It is not our purpose to destroy the people of Germany, but only when Nazism and militarism have been extirpated, will there be hope for a decent life for Germans and a place for them in the community of nations." But while Washington and London were promising that Germany would never again be able to strike, Herbert Armstrong was preaching to the whole world that Germany would rise again. Notice what he said in the report he gave from the United Nations on May 9th, 1945. The war is over in Europe, or is it? We need to wake up and realize that right now is the most dangerous moment in the United States national history. Instead of assuming we now have peace, men plan here to preserve the peace of the world. What most do not know is that the Germans have their plans for winning the battle of the peace. Yes, I said battle of the peace. That's a kind of battle we Americans don't know. We know only one kind of war. We have never lost a war. That is a military war. But we have never won a conference where leaders of other nations outfox us in the battle for the peace. We don't understand German thoroughness. From the very start of World War II, they have considered the possibility of losing the second round as they did the first, and they have carefully and methodically planned in such eventuality the third round, World War III, Hitler has lost. Hear that, guys? I'm adding this part in. Hitler has lost. Get over it. This round of war in Europe is over, and the Nazis have now gone underground. In France and Norway, they learned how effectively an organized underground can hamper occupation and control of a country. Paris was liberated by French underground and Allied armies. Now, a Nazi underground is methodically planned. They plan to come back and win on the third try. He said that in 1945, but very few people really believe Mr. Armstrong. Many, even today, ridicule his statements. Brian Connell wrote Watcher on the Rhine in 1957 to report on the new Germany just 12 years after the war. You have to look hard in Germany today, he began his book, for the visible remnants of defeat. You have to look even harder if you remember the cataclysm of total surrender under only a dozen years ago. Another historian described Germany's astonishing recovery after World War II as the miracle of the 50s. Mr. Armstrong, who visited Germany in 1945-1956, witnessed this miraculous turnaround firsthand. When the West, led by the United States, started rebuilding Germany, even Konrad Adenauer, the German leader after World War II, said it was taking a calculated risk. He knew his own people. He knew Nazism was not dead. It was never destroyed. It was just went underground. Nazism not dead. See? You guys? Not dead. Nazism's not dead. Okay, Nazism's not dead. Alright, stopping there.